question.
Mr. Arnold, let Cam answer Dave's questions first.
The Commercial Development Bond Act is the act that we're working under. It allows the county commission on behalf of Gilmer County to issue bonds that are what we call conduit or special obligation bonds. And that means you're paying solely from the payments that will be made by the foundation. And if the foundation doesn't make the payments, then there is collateral put up. In this case, it's a lien against their interest in that building A and the 2.74 acres out there. And to the extent that doesn't satisfy the bonds, there's no separate liability on the part of the county or the county commission.
Yeah.
And the real reason, the driving force of doing it is to achieve tax exemption for the interest on the bonds, to get a lower rate, make it more affordable for the foundation and for Minnie Hamilton Healthcare Center to be in that space. Now, that's the reason we're having the TEFRA hearing, and that's still going on. We'll allow comments to go on until people have completed those. The benefits, I mean, this is perhaps subjective, but I mean, you've got a brand new building A and a brand new building B, all of which are being paid for by the bonds, but certainly you're seeing the lower portion of that building being improved through the proceeds of these bonds. Certainly where construction's got more jobs created, certainly jobs going to be created for people working within the Minnie Hamilton Healthcare Center space. And in this area, there's another source of healthcare in that facility. So I think those are all very positive things.
Mr. Seegers, you're saying the right word, but you're not quantifying. When you say more jobs, how many more jobs? And when you're talking about health care, exactly what will be the health care benefits? Are we going to get more benefits than we have now? You mentioned building A and building B. Sure, we're going to get more buildings. But does a building equate to how many jobs and what improvements are we in health care?
Any sense that all the people be working?
I do know that there's going to be an expansion of Minnie Hamilton staff. Now, what that number quantifies out to be, I think will be determined by the flow of the patient flow, increased patient flow. They're going to be incorporating what's currently being done off-site for physical therapy into this facility. They're bringing an additional physical therapist on. They're bringing an additional doctor on. Their lab work over here is going to require 2 to 3 additional staff. So in terms of what percentage of increase of staff that is, I'm not real sure. What benefit does that have beyond what Cam has indicated? The ultimate goal is to have 24/7 healthcare available out there. That's written into the language of the lease, that it's our ultimate goal. It's not a requirement because it has to be financially capable for Minnie Hamilton to do that. But by gradually extending hours and gradually letting people know that you don't have to drive to Weston, you don't have to drive to Grantsville at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, they think that they're going to eventually build that up to the point where we'll have 24/7 availability.
You still haven't answered the question. You talk about think, plan, may happen. That's not very definitive. You know, lawyers like to talk about the cold letter of the law so that everyone can understand exactly what we're talking about. So what I'm hearing is, well, folks, it may come. We plan for it to come. We can't say how many more jobs it will be. People may use the facility. We're going to move some of the existing health care to the same building, which won't result in a net change. So I think there has not been a good job of explaining exactly what the benefits of this will be, with the exception of doing some work on a building with the hope that there's more to come. And it'd be hard pressed for anyone to talk definitively. You can only talk in terms of generality.
I think I just named 4 or 5 positions.
No, you said, you used the word plan, goal.
I said we're
think.
going to add a physical therapist, we're going to add a doctor.
How many? How many physical?
I said a physical therapist, a doctor, at least 2 more lab people. So I said there's 5 that I know of. What percentage that is, I'm not sure.
Can you speak with authority and make that commitment for Minnie Hamilton? Why aren't Minnie Hamilton here to say, this is what we want?
They don't have a,
They should be the ones
think the
that are doing
foundation
the work. They should be the ones who come in and say, this is our plan, this is our intent. And they can't be held accountable for language like we hope, we think, may.
Carl, you're
I'm
obviously,
not hearing from Minnie Hamilton, to me, raises a red flag.
you're obviously against this project.
No. You're absolutely wrong. But I see things in terms of pros and cons, force field analysis, why something should go and why something shouldn't go. And I am unable, say if I would be in a jury, based on what I've heard, I couldn't make a conclusion about yea or nay. And I'm certainly not against it. I think there should be more information. I think a very poor job has been done disseminating, preparing and disseminating information to the public.
Yeah, I answered all your questions, or your structure of
Okay.
questions.
May I want to make sure I understood correctly.
Okay?
You said for this project, the foundation is the one that is liable.
Correct, of the borrower, and they will sign a note and obligate
Right.
themselves. to
And the
repay.
only reason the commission is involved, so you get the IRS tax exemption.
Correct, so
So the commission is not, there's no liability for the commission.
That is correct.
Okay.
You have any questions about that?
Very similar
My
to
question
past
I need
projects.
to ask more.
It's very similar to past projects.
The structure is very similar to what we did for the housing corporation with respect to the new residence hall, very similar to what we did for Pioneer Village. So it's in essence the same structure. And again, it's driven because of the benefits of getting a lower interest rate and making the project work a lot cheaper.
I think one thing that, has kind of not helped this whole project is the Moody's report came out.
Understood. This-
I
this-
mean,
this
the
involves
time and everything, and, again, that you have to understand, but, they put out their report,
Understood.
and I publish exactly what they put out, like I know, it was quote unquote what Moody put out.
Moody did not use the word junk in anywhere in there.
It's right on their website.
It is not, I looked at that.
Yeah, and, I didn't code anybody or anything. That's what Moody sent me, because I'm subscribed to it. And, because I don't even understand what classifies junk and what doesn't classify junk for me to make that decision.
I say, what we have here is a trust issue. When Mr. Siggers came in and was talking about the bonding for the new dormitory, some of the examples were given why we need that dormitory. And one of the factors cited is to accommodate the overflow of students. Did we really need that dorm? Did that dorm really contribute? Is it filled? What benefit has that dorm done to the community? And it may have been the greatest thing. I don't know. I can't speak from a factual context. So I still say that if you could, it'd be an opportunity to do a better sales job with this by repackaging what you're talking about, documenting exactly how the community would benefit. This could be one of the greatest things for Gilmer County that ever happened. But without proper information, people are saying, oh, look, here's another deal. We're not going to be told what it is. The decision's already been made. We have no say. Someone's going to make money off of this, and it's not going to be a benefit to the people. Is that true? I don't know it's true at all. It's simply a layer of information, not necessarily an opponent to the project.
Okay, I want to make it very clear that I'm for the project, because, anything that can help Gilmer County, more power to us. The same way we're talking about having the roundabouts. I know we need to fix our roads, But if the money is given for that purpose, why not? Why not have it? Because if we don't have it, somebody else would have it. But, one thing Dr. Armas said, which I think is the general feel in the county, and I think I mentioned it way at the beginning, is if somehow one paragraph in a very simple language, forget about all the, like a press release of simple language, that we forget about all those technical terms and everything, saying, by doing this, this is how the county will benefit, like what Mr. Pam said, explain those things. People would like that, would like to be able to drive at 9 o'clock to Glenville instead of going to Western or other places. But I think if that simple thing is put on, you will be surprised
Yeah.
how many people will be for it. I would say everybody, okay? Because right now, the way it is, they don't know. And when they don't know, what do? They speculate. Human thing is that you speculate bad, you never speculate good. When you don't understand something, you always go to the bad side. You say, well, there must be something they're hiding. But some of the things that we have heard here, we just make it one paragraph and let the people know. That would be, very, very positive.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments before I would ask the commission to close the public hearing?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Comments? I believe everyone's concluded their comments. With that, if you would like to close the public hearing, and I'll ask you to consider the approval that's required by you as the applicable elected representative, since we've had the public hearing and we've heard the public's comment.
At this time, we'll close the public hearing portion of this meeting.
All right. As I mentioned earlier, this is driven by the Internal Revenue Code, Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code. And we've conducted a public hearing after the notice. And again, I have in your minutes the affidavit she requires to require legal ad. Now you are the elected body that oversees Gilmer County, and as that, you're what we call the applicable elected representative. You need to approve the bond issue following the public hearing for the bonds to enjoy the tax exempt status we're trying to achieve. At the moment, when we read through this is basically just summarizes what the bond issue will be used for. And while you're reading that, I'll just recap that. We've talked about it before, but basically using the proceeds to finance a portion of the cost of the acquisition, construction, equipping, and furnishing of there's really just a portion of the first floor, 10,585 square feet, give or take, which is more than half, but not all of the first floor of what they call Building A. And then if you're looking at the Waco Center, is okay, I thought so. I want to make sure we're looking at that. Again, the borrower is Gilmer State College Foundation, but it's already entered into a lease with Minnie Healthcare Center 8 to use that space. The term of the lease is long-term, although there's certain options to terminate. I believe the term is 40 years, so hopefully we'll be a long-term tenant. And we've already talked to John about the benefits of having Hamilton in that lower space. Any questions about the approval that's been presented to you?
The motion is the state to approve the commercial development revenue bonds for Gilmer State College Foundation project.
Basically, if you move to approve the On the issues, the applicable elected representative and authorize the county commission president to sign the documents as before you.
I would move to approve the issuance of commercial development revenue bonds for the Golden State College Foundation project and allow the president to sign that resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you both. That concludes the TEF approval process, and you can sign that if you want. I have several copies for the file. We'll probably each will be back down with the second action item.
Okay.
And then just, since I'm getting things signed, would that be all right?
That'll be fine.
All right, the second item is the bond resolution itself. That, what we just did, satisfy the internal revenue requirements. This is actually a resolution. This is some of the one that we adopted to the prior issues we talked about. We'll just sort of walk through it with you so you have the benefit of that. We've sort of given you the background about the Commercial Development Bond Act. It's a code, it's section, it's in Chapter 3, Article 2C. Allows you to issue bonds for commercial projects like this. And again, the reason we do it in this case is to achieve federal tax exemption for the interest on the proposed bonds. Now, we mentioned in here $3.6 million. I rounded up a bit. The actual amount will be $3,530,000. And it sort of outlines in there that the borrower will be the Gilmer State College Foundation, represented by Denny Pounce, its executive director. And we've also explained that the project is situated on a leasehold estate created by a lease between the Gilmer State College Board of Governors as the lessor and the foundation is lessee. It also is a long-term arrangement. And in that, they have the right to use the building, subject to the rights of the college to use the second floor. And this project will be on the lower floor, the first floor, and involved, as I mentioned before, 10,585 square feet, which is slightly more than half of that ground floor. And they've already entered a lease with Minnie Healthcare Center, Inc. They will use that. Initially, will not be quite enough to pay the bonds. The foundation knows it's got to meet the difference. And obviously, the county has no obligation to maintain, insure, do anything with that property. We're making a loan with the proceeds, and I mentioned before, it's a special obligation loan that you don't have to pay back if they don't pay it back. And the money will be paid on monthly payments directly from the foundation to the bank. It does not do the county does not get involved in that process either. So that's all laid out in the documents that are being approved today. There's fewer concepts I want to just talk about, and we can go through any specific provisions you like. The county commission has the ability to issue up to $10 million in what we call bank qualified obligations each year. I don't believe we've done any bond issues this year, and I don't know that you've done any more in line. But the concept of bank qualified deals with how interest expense is treated. As a general rule, if you borrow money to buy a tax exempt bond, you cannot deduct the interest. Under the bank qualification rules, if it is bank qualified, with respect to banks, the disallowance doesn't apply to 80% of that. So in other words, there's still a 20% hit, but it's not the full hit that would be there if you did not make a bank qualified. Why is that important to banks? If you look at the bank's financial statement, they have substantial interest expense. And so it would take away some of their incentive to buy tax exempt bonds if they're not bank qualified. So you are making these bank qualified, and that would be $3.5 million roughly if you're bank qualified, cap of $10 million. The second thing that's in there, and this was not in the last time, since we did the last bond issue, the IRS changed the tax form. We filed informational tax forms, so they knew we did this transaction. That's something I'll handle and I prepared. I'll get you to sign in a few minutes. But on that form, they have a box that says, do you have procedures in place to ensure that non-qualified boards are remediated? Well, I've presented to you a form of procedures that would allow us to check that box, yes. I went to a seminar last summer and we asked an IRS representative whether if you don't check that box, whether that creates any problems, because you're not required by the code to have that. And he said, no, but we're all suspicious that you're going to be able to check the box. It just seems like the thing to do. And all this does, as a conduit issuer, is make you have the foundation agreement. They will periodically make sure that they're complying with the various rules on the use of tax-exempt bonds. In this case, there won't be real arbitrage issues. Arbitrage is a concept where if you go out and if you're smart enough to invest the bond proceeds at a rate higher than you're paying on the bonds, you really can't keep that excess unless there's an exception. The IRS doesn't like tax-exempt bonds in the first place, and they're not going to let you go out, borrow money and make a profit off of it just by having the funds invested. In the current market, there's no way you're going to do that just because short-term investors don't pay hardly anything, and you're never going to make more than you pay on your bonds. But if you did, you'd have to rebate it. In this case, the money's going to be advanced directly from the bank to the foundation, so it's never going to sit in a project fund. There's no debt service reserve fund that will earn interest, and they'll make your monthly payments just like we make mortgage payments to a bank. It'll be applied directly to the loan each month, so there won't be any arbitrage for them to worry about. The only real practical issue is for them to remember year by year that we've committed to use this area of the project for either the foundation or the Minnie Healthcare Center Inc. And that's certainly in place with a long-term lease. And it just requires them to once a year perhaps just remember that we need to make sure we haven't forgotten about it. Very simple. So that's all that does. Otherwise, you're approving the bond issue. The key documents are a loan agreement where you'll sign a loan agreement lending the money to the foundation. And then the foundation obviously is obligated to make payments on the note to you initially, but you'll sign that to the bank as collateral for the bonds they're buying. You're also signing a bond purchase agreement that sets up the structure whereby you're doing the bond issue, you're going to loan money to the foundation, the bank will directly make the advances on requisitions from the foundation. You don't have to be involved in that process. And again, I hopefully you remember the transactions we've done for Pioneer Village and for the new residence hall. This is very much the same thing. The only difference is the housing corporation was involved before, the foundation is involved now. Instead of having the college itself be the ultimate lessee, Minnie Hamilton's the ultimate lessee. So, I've talked fast and furious. Hopefully I've covered things, but I'm more than happy to try to answer questions for you.
I have a question. I've heard you mention long-term lease. Is that, what's it? I'm just curious.
40 years.
40? That's a long-term lease.
Pretty long. You and I won't see the end of that. More than likely.
No further questions, and you're interested in proceeding. The motion to adopt the bond resolution is presented. Will be the next procedural step to take.
Move to adopt the bond resolution.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Is there any other business that you want to take up today?
I think the only thing we need to set an emergency meeting for tomorrow,
Yes.
Okay.
11 o'clock.
That sounds good.
And so the press will know the emergency meeting for tomorrow is so that we can make a determination on the excess levies.
Understood.
I would move that we have. I would move that we have an emergency meeting tomorrow at 11 o'clock. That would be June the 27th.
Second.
The only item at this time to be on the agenda is the request for replacement.
So we are changing this from today to tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
There's still work that needs to be done.
Okay, no problem. I just want to make sure that I'm...
Continue this meeting.
This meeting?
No, you're going to sign now.
Yeah, we'll finish up.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
finish up
Yeah.
with you today.
Good. Great.
Is this an actual copy I need to sign?
If they're doing a criminal business, I can start just sort of working with them. I just need you and the clerk, you're welcome to stay around. Otherwise, I'm taking the actions I need. You're welcome to keep the meeting in session in case something else comes up. But I don't know if there's any need from my side for that. You want to- Really?
Yeah.
All right, just go handle things one by one, and we can go through it, and probably keep everything straight. That makes things myself. That's all right.
I'm pretty organized, Ken.
Well, I have a tendency to be focused on getting things signed. There's just multiple copies of these things, and we'll need one after the clerk.
Dennis, do we have a projected move date?
They're going to take possession July 15th, and they hope to be open on August 4th.
See, it's already done. It would be the easiest thing for us, you go back to your office and sort out what Sue Morse wants to sign. Okay. If I create a stack, we'll make sure I get it right. How's it work with you?
Good.
Get something so far?
Going by quickly. Days are getting shorter already, aren't they? Correct.
Right on to it, I might as well go. Yeah, some did, I do look at that, and it seems like for saying, and Charles said it goes to like 51 minutes, and it's over 2 hours and 15 minutes. And that's still watch such a thing.
Got up this morning and started going, hey, and Kevin, but came down. I gotta take a chance.
It was raining, because I came up.
It was raining when I was mowing that.
0% chance to do it.
It was.
Yeah, I almost had to pull over on the way out here, it was so heavy. Yeah, you couldn't hardly see out the windshield, you could them going as fast as they could.
Oh, no.
The road was wet. I was doing
It's
it.
rain, you go through it every time I'm on my road.
I'm gonna have to kick it more than I like to.
You grew up right out there, right?
Shit, I started last year. Yeah, first.